Good evening and welcome back to It's a Football Thing. Pumped for tonight's show. We love Thursday nights here. I'm joined by a great panel, special guest. We've got Nicholas Bucco joining us, Adelaide City's number 10. Someone who is a significantly better footballer than any of us three, yes, even you, RJ, could ever hope to be. Nicholas, first of all, welcome.
Boys, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
And it's a pleasure to have you on, especially the night before the season kicks off. I believe tomorrow you guys have your first match against Campbelltown, right?
Correct, at Oakton, Adelaide City Park, 7:30. So second year in a row that we're playing Campbelltown in round one. So very exciting. Football's back in South Australia, which is awesome.
Excellent. Hopefully a positive season for you. We'll chat a little bit more about that soon. Robbie, what's going on?
Big W, mate. Finally got a win this week. I feel like I haven't talked about one for a while, but got a smile tonight and looking forward to unpacking everything.
We all love that smile on your face. RJ, man who's always smiling. Need no introduction. How are you, boss?
Well, I was actually smiling more about Rob's W because for those that, Rob's got the singlet, he's got the W. I thought this was a bit of a West Side Story kind of thing going on, to be honest. But look, it's great to have a special guest in Nick here. Professional footballer. It's nice to have some fellow talent in the room, Nick. All jokes aside, great to be back. Proud Chelsea boy. I just got back from my son's first night of football season this time around, and I'm happy to report, not for his sake or his teammates, but I'm going to be leading the troop. So look out for Oran Park Rovers this season.
Nice. I can't believe they've given you the gig.
Oh, I did a good job last year. Come on, man.
Congrats, Gaffer.
That's it. Mate, if you've got no hair now, what are you going to look like by the end of the season? But let's move on. There are some champions in the live chat that I want to take a minute to acknowledge and welcome. Tom from the United Pubcast says United are back. It's because you guys didn't meet up to watch it live, Tom. We've got Emad here. Good evening, Emad. Daniel's here. Love it, Daniel. Justin Mastiota, nice to see you, man. Haven't seen you in a little while. Tell him Rob already to put the guns away. Yeah, it's nice to see Rob dresses up. He's dressed up for the occasion. And, mate, sitting next to Nicholas, you really need to cover up because he's in shape, mate. He's a professional footballer here. We've got Cal here. The UK says, hi, good morning to you. Alex is here. Davide's here. I had a funny feeling you'd be here tonight, Davide. You've got a fellow fan in the house.
There's my scarf, Davide, as you requested.
Done.
And he gave us a few leads before he joined here.
That's it. Declared is here too. He's excited that Singlet Rob is back in the house. The agenda for this evening's show, we're quickly going to recap the Champions League action. We'll give Rob a couple of moments to celebrate what was a nice win, a big win for United. Then we'll take some time to preview and predict some of the upcoming Premier League fixtures. And we're going to do not quite a deep dive, but a mini dive into Arsenal, particularly in the light of Thierry Henry's comments that have caused a bit of a stir. So Nicholas is a big Arsenal fan. So we're going to get his thoughts on all things Arsenal as well. Boys, let's start with you, Rob. You finally got the 3 points. Exciting. I watched that game, but tell everyone your thoughts on that.
No, you know me, always raw and always honest. Was it the performance or was it the result we needed? It was definitely the result because the performance wasn't great. And it's just kind of been in reversal for us. The past 2-3 games, the performance has been good and we haven't got a result out of it. So, it was Brighton, hands off to them. They actually, could nearly say dominated that first half. They probably had the best chance of the game. World-class save from David De Gea. Thank God for Dave saves again. But, once we weathered the storm, went in at 0-0, I kind of had a little bit of confidence saying, for a change, we haven't got an early lead that we can throw away. We'll see what the second half goes. Second half, we definitely, we got in, we actually started playing, our midfield picked up a little bit because they were running rings around us in the first half. And then, pressed the ball, got a bit of luck. And, Clutch Ronaldo finally breaking his duck. That's with a beautiful goal, man. Nice, quick feet, shot from outside the box, buries it, 1-0 up. And it was a big relief more than anything, a bit of monkey off his back and monkey off the United fans' back. But again, credit to Brighton. Had it kept going. They had another attempt off the crossbar. we kept going, and then it was really late on where obviously they've gone all out kind of attack. We've got a free kick, a breakaway at the last second, kind of put a gloss on the score sheet. But mate, at the end of the day, the 3 points is what we needed. For now, back into the top 4. Happy as Larry for this week.
Mate, Simon Hill, eat your heart out. Eat your heart out. What a recap, Robbie. What a recap.
Very impressive, Robbie. Very impressive.
Yeah, before we go over to you, RJ, just a general question, not game specific. Nick, have you been shocked by the performances of Man United this season, or can you understand how this has happened with them?
To be honest, I'm not shocked. Even though they made some big signings, they feel like an incomplete team, and I feel like the one place they didn't strengthen all summer, where they needed to strengthen, was where at the back.
Oh, at the back.
At the back. Maguire's not good enough. Lindelof's not good enough. Who else is there? Varane's a great signing, but you know what I mean?
There's no Thiago Silva, of course.
This is what I'm saying. So one thing that I'll compare us to them is that we sorted our rubbish out. We got our defense and goalkeeper sorted. You've got one of the best goalkeepers that you've had in a long time. He's unbelievable. So I won't say that needed to change. But that for me, United have got all the attack, but they didn't have a defense. So we've got to remember that a championship-winning team like Man City last season was built on their defense. They kept how many clean sheets? They didn't concede goals. Man United can score goals, don't get me wrong, but when they haven't, what happens after that? They concede, they drop points. So for me, that's what I've noticed of Man United this year. I'd never rated Ole Gunnar, to be honest, as a big club coach. Man United can't have a coach like that. They need a Pep. They should have got Conte. I'm so happy they didn't, because if he was there, they would be back, no problem. It's so lucky that he went to Tottenham, because he's not going to be able to change a loser club like that. So that's the way I see it. Man United are definitely sleeping, but it can change in an instant for a club like that, because they're so big, have so much money, and they still have quality. So they are definitely, for me, I think in terms of personnel-wise, above us, but they don't have that squad camaraderie team. They don't have the consistency. So, yeah, we'll talk about Arsenal later, but that's the one thing that scares me about Man United is the individual quality that they have, because Bruno Fernandes is still unbelievable. Pogba on his day is unplayable. And obviously the great man Ronaldo can score a goal at any time. So, yeah.
Spot on. Well said. RJ, I don't know if you caught that game. It was funny that within seconds of old mate Messi missing that big penalty, you've then got Ronaldo turning around for that piece of brilliance. He's still too good for that Man United team. I don't care what anyone says. He can operate in slow motion because he's levels above his colleagues. But what were your thoughts on that, Arch?
It's such a great parallel, isn't it? Like, obviously, big Messi fanboy. You wanted him. He was actually playing reasonably well, I thought. And then the moment came and he never looked confident. I wasn't surprised at that snake. I mean, Courtois saved it. Great save. But I just thought, and then I saw Ronaldo. I checked the live score and thinking, this just had to be. These two are like Harry Potter and Lord Voldemort. You know, when one exists, the other just can't be. It just can't be with these two. But hats off to Ronaldo. Great goal. And he dug them out. That second goal, that's just luck. I thought a free kick could have been given to Brighton, but they gave it the other way. And to their credit, they went on with it, sealed the deal, and that's what happens. And that's, as we like to say, it's a football thing. And credit to United for getting the job done, because Brighton, for large parts, were the better team. But many times, Brighton, Chelsea, Arsenal to an extent, sometimes playing better doesn't mean you're going to get the result. And that's what matters at the end of the day.
Spot on. And look, we saw a perfect example of that to segue to the Champions League with your boys, RJ, into this morning. I was watching you and Robbie in the group chat and the other Italians in there. You're all bigging up this Inter team and saying how they made one of the quotes there, and I don't think it was RJ's, it was a mate of ours, was that they're making Liverpool look like a pub team. Well, that pub team, who didn't play well, did what great teams do. One ugly. And I wouldn't even say one ugly, because they were getting dominated, but you always know they got a goal in them. As an Inter fan, and then we'll go to Nick and Robbie for their thoughts, were you spewing with that result this morning, or do you understand why it's happened?
No, I understand why it's happened, but I was spewing with the result because I was actually proud of the performance. For me, not enough credit gets given to the Serie A and how it's continuing its ascension. The last 4 or 5 years, I've been really pleased with its trajectory. I really think it is coming back to its glory days. Inter, let's remind ourselves, have lost Hakimi, lost Lukaku, and also have lost Barella, chief playmaker. Without those 3 players, to be where they are and to give Liverpool a big run for their money, Liverpool were up against the ropes for big parts of that game. They were lethargic. They were being outplayed. They still offered the odd chance here and there from set pieces, which ultimately was our undoing. But apart from 2 moments of switching off, we could have very well walked away with at least a point, which would have been more than fair. But like we've said, Liverpool is such a dangerously good, high-quality team that if you don't put them to the sword when you're on top, they're going to come back and bite you 9 times out of 10. I do think now it's probably a bridge too far to claw it back at Anfield. I think 1 goal is reasonable. 2 goals, it's very hard to see a scenario where we score 2 and they don't score anything. I think that's highly improbable. But overall, disappointed with the result, but proud of what they've done for both the club and Italian football more broadly.
Robbie, you share RJ's thoughts?
Firstly, let me correct you. Me bigging up Inter. I don't know what you're listening to, but anyway. Look, you know me. I said it was my 2 most hated teams, Derby, Liverpool and Inter, obviously. But obviously I was on the Serie A side. I would like to have seen Inter for the Serie A and the Italians kind of do it proud. But look, I think RJ wrapped it up pretty well, man. Liverpool were on the ropes for good chunks of that game. I know I was at the San Siro and the crowd was pumping, but you know, it was just unlucky. Like that chance for Dzeko, you know, just that little bit offside when he scored the first goal, got chalked off. Yes, it was, but you know, that half a meter back, it would have been interesting to see if they could have went to Anfield with a lead. I do also agree with RJ. Going to Anfield 2 goals behind, I think is a long task. I think it's done this one, and Liverpool will progress.
Nick, RJ spoke a lot about the Serie A and how he feels it's on the way up. Anyone who watches this is no secret. I am critical of the league, and that's because I remember it when it was at its prime. Your days where AC Milan were winning Champions Leagues, Inter, Juve were all doing their thing. Is the league on the up in your eyes, or do you think what Inter did this morning does big up the league, or do you think it's another case of an English team didn't even play well but has dispatched the Serie A team?
I think Serie A is definitely on the way up. I've been watching it a lot more in the last 3 or 4 years again. I had a little bit of a dry spell of it because, I don't know, I sort of got turned off a little bit by it. And I would only watch Serie B because of Pescara. Then I'd watch Serie A only for the seasons they were in it. So the last 2 or 3 years, I've actually watched it a lot. And into the last 2 years, I've been so impressed to watch their system, their players. I've been watching Inzaghi a lot this year. Obviously, the last 3 years, I've been watching a lot of Atalanta because they're just so entertaining and so good to watch. So, yeah, they're just brilliant. So I don't think what it is, I just think Man City and Liverpool, and then we can say Chelsea underneath, are just so much better than everyone that it's just impossible to compare the whole leagues together because Man City and Liverpool are just leaps and bounds above anyone. And then you chuck them in with PSG and Bayern, and you've probably got your top, you know, your semi-finalists / a couple more for quarterfinals. So Inter are really, they're behind a little bit because of their budgets and the way they sold Lukaku and Hakimi for FIFA Fair Play and all that sort of stuff. But look at the job they've done. They brought in Dzeko for free, Dumfries for 2 million. You know, they've just done some incredible business. And the way they've played in Serie A this year, for me, I thought they were going to run away with it. I'm surprised that Milan have stuck with them. And I'm surprised that they've dropped as many points as they would have. So this morning's result surprised me a little bit because I thought Inter would, honestly, I thought they'd win by a goal, maybe just catch Liverpool off guard. Clearly, they didn't catch them off guard to pinch that goal, and Liverpool was strong defensively and jagged a couple of goals away from home. So I'm not really surprised because Liverpool's team is just, at the moment, they're hitting their straps. Like you can see it in the league. Now you see it in Europe. Luis Diaz, what a signing. You know, their front three's back. So I'm not really surprised. But I definitely think Serie A is improving. I think after a year back in Champions League for Milan, I think next year they're going to be stronger again. I'm hoping Atalanta makes Champions League again because they're going to be fantastic to watch. And I think Napoli, if Napoli can hold on, obviously they're losing Senior next season, but Osimhen is just a beast. So it's going to be interesting. I think Serie A is starting to really claw. I think they're definitely starting to level up a bit.
Well said. Well said. Speaking of, people being on the up, and you mentioned Man City, how they're in that tier above. RJ and I both probably look a bit silly because on Tuesday night we said that we thought they'd win against Sporting, but we thought it would be, not a walk in the park. Robbie called it. He said that they would run riot, and Robbie, they did. We won't go too far into this because, what's more to say? They won 5-0, but feeling happy that you were spot on, Robbie?
Oh, no, it's nothing to brag about. It's just, honestly, we've seen this before.
Stop bragging, Rob.
Look, City in the Champions League at these stages, it's very rare that they get a big boy. It's always someone like one of the, not smaller teams, but you know what I'm saying, a little bit
Smaller
of the easier, smaller teams compared to the bigger boys. But, mate, by half-time, I think it was 3 or 4-0. That's it. They're already – and that was away as well. So they've already cruised into the quarterfinals. Like I said, RJ said they could play a full strength because they're so far in front in the league at the moment. Mate, they can literally play their B squad or C squad for the next round and they'll be fine. So they're firing on all cylinders. Not much more have to be said. A couple banger goals, by the way. Bernardo Silva and I think it was Sterling. 2 banger goals.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Speaking of teams that aren't doing what they're meant to do, Bayern Munich again slipping up. 1-1, a Kingsley Coman last minute equaliser. That result really shocked me. But sometimes when you play a team from your league, they know you, they know how to play you. There's no shock factor there. Credit to
two different leagues, bro. 2 different leagues.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Close enough.
I was looking at
Salzburg.
Leipzig. It's those Red Bull logos, man. But, it's a good point for them nonetheless. The point doesn't change. The point that they've done really well against juggernauts isn't there. Do you think Bayern could be on the down, RJ?
Well, as I like to have said before, Bayern proved that they're not so Munich. The reality is they're human like everybody else. They are a powerhouse team, but they have shown in recent times that they do have moments of frailty. They're not as impenetrable as maybe what we once thought. I know personally they were one team for 2-3 seasons in a row in the Champions. I'm like, no thanks. Just let us be. We don't want to verse you at any cost.
Arsenal know that.
They were just a quality team. They've done us well. They've done you well. They've done everybody well many times. But lately, they're just, on a one-off basis, it's not as perfect as what we once thought. But I thought, just quickly, I know we've moved on from City, but the one thing that impressed me just quickly on that was the post-match interview with Silva coming out and saying, you know what, we're 4-0 up in the first half, but we're actually quite sloppy. And the way that Guardiola's parading on the touchline like they're losing 4-0, that's a scary mentality to think that they just don't stop. They're an aggressive, hungry team that set the benchmark. And I just wanted to give them a shout out because they just continue to deliver top quality. But back to Bayern, that one goal is going to be a monumental shift. I think if they lost 1-0, it makes it a little bit more of an even contest, even though they're losing. But 1-1, I expect them to carry on comfortably in the reverse.
Yeah.
Nick, going to jump over to you now. We haven't really touched on PSG's match against Real Madrid. Don't know if you caught that and had any thoughts, or if you wanted to acknowledge this comment from Tom. He's saying Bayern are good, but when you look at them player for player, maybe they're not as good as those Bayern teams that we think of from the past.
It's an interesting one because I've watched the Bayern doco from last year, and when RJ's talking about Man City's mentality and what Pep does, and then then you watch the Man City docos as well, and you see similarities between the two clubs because at the moment, both clubs are dominating domestically because of the same thing. They all have this culture within their playing group, their dressing room, and their managers that they have to win at all costs, no matter what. There's not you just can't lose. So Bayern are 9 points clear with Dortmund's game in hand, I think. Bayern are also scoring an away goal. Look, they're going to get through. Let's be honest. It'll be a massive shock if they don't get through at home. And then I think they just do this, don't they? They seem to always have a lull somewhere at some point. And then they'll end up winning the championship again, and then they'll end up making a semi-final of UCL or whatever it is. So I think they'll get through. But with Man City as well, they're just ridiculous. Like, it's just relentless. It's just crazy. Like, and that's why these clubs have been so successful. And I think that's what other clubs need to strive to do. And I think that's the one thing that impressed me so much about Chelsea winning it last year as well, was the fact that they did it against clubs like they beat Man City in the final and stuff like that. Like, it was out of the, we wouldn't have seen it happening, if you know what I mean, because of all the other great teams, but they proved themselves to be a great team. Now, just going back to what you asked about the PSG Real Madrid game, to be honest, I didn't see much of it. I saw the highlights. I'm a bit surprised Messi took the penalty.
I said the same thing. I thought Mbappe
I was very
would have taken
surprised. I didn't even know he was, when the penalty happened, I didn't know what the outcome was. So when I saw him lining up for it, I'm like, he's not scoring this. And then obviously Courtois saved it. And I just thought, why isn't, like, from what I'd seen before that moment, Mbappe was everywhere doing everything. So wouldn't you let the wonder kid who's just doing everything for you just take it, put it away, and then look at the goal that he scored? He's just, the kid's incredible. Mm-hmm. So I'm just, that result didn't surprise me. I think that it's all to play for. It's 50-50. 1-0 is nothing. PSG could falter easily. Carlo Ancelotti could produce a miracle, as he always does. But big ups for Mbappe. What an absolute player! Like, there's nothing to describe the kid. Like, he's a joke. He's an actual joke.
In moments, those big players step up in those little moments. Now, I mean, all jokes aside, Messi, I can understand why Messi got the penalty. I mean, this is a guy who's been there, done that, experienced, generally cool, calm, collected. So, I mean, it didn't shock me, but you've also got an Mbappe who's nipping at his heels, and it was a big moment for him to stand up and take control of that fixture. Aj, I don't know if you had any thoughts on the match before we move to some predictions.
Yeah, no, it was really good to see Mbappe impressing his future employers, it seems. But I think Messi taking the penalty is not surprising for me because, A, he is the best out of all of them over the long term. Mbappe was better on the day by country mile, of course, but no surprise because he's probably the best player on the planet at the moment, or in the top 2, top 3 at the very minimum. But I think with these sorts of instances, I don't think penalty decisions are made on the spot, for a better use of a pun. I'm pretty sure that they would have agreed this beforehand, and it's not like he snatched the ball off him.
Yeah.
And who knows if Mbappe didn't want him to take it anyway because he didn't want to have that pressure situation. So I don't look too far into it. I see a player, one of many, that could have easily dispatched it. He didn't. But to his credit, Mbappe spared him a lot of blushes because that would have dominated the headlines. So, yeah, I'm just really impressed with how good that young man is, and I can't wait to see what his trajectory looks like because he's a superstar, no doubt.
Spot on. Nick, you'd fancy yourself to slot that penalty, wouldn't you?
Oh, there's one thing I can do. It's take a penalty. I'll tell you that much.
That's it. You heard it here. Nick could do what Messi couldn't. Before we get into
that's the only thing. Only one thing.
I was looking at some stuff you've done today. You've scored a couple of bangers here and there. Tell you what, you've had some good goals. I saw one on Adelaide City. They interviewed you and put it on. Nice little touch, slotted into the top right. Unless it was your doppelganger, but you can bang a goal in.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, look, I've scored a couple. It's been a long career now. This is my 11th season at Adelaide City, so yeah, scored a fair few goals, scored a few nice ones, which is nice. But would have liked a few more goals on a bigger stage, to be honest, because it's been in a big stage a fair few times and only come away with the chockies a few times. So it would have been nice to get a few more trophies under the belt, but not that I'm complaining because some people don't win anything. So yeah, winning the grand final last year was pretty good. So that was, would have been nice to score a banger on a stage like that. But at the end of the day, we won, so you just take it.
That's it, man. You take your wins. Look, there's plenty of talented footballers out there who don't even make it into those leagues. Look at us three. I mean, we're some of the most talented Oran Park has to offer, but we just haven't quite got there yet. But speaking of talent, these two boys, Robbie and RJ, have been very talented in their predictions. Me, not so much at all. This is the current tipping ladder. Robbie on 133, RJ
Very
132. I'm sitting on 118. So, Nick, feel free to give your predictions as we go. Daniel, maybe just tally Nick's for this week, and we can see if he outdoes the boys. I'm going to put up the fixtures, gents. We won't
And what's
go
the scoring format? Sorry, Scotty.
You get 1 point for picking the correct result.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
1
2
point
points for the result.
Correct.
Picking the
Like if
score,
you get the score.
Okay.
And you get bonus points if you're Rob, regardless, whatever happens.
Well, Daniel, who tallies it, is a Chelsea fan. RJ's a Chelsea fan.
I better have a chat to you, Dan, about this afterwards.
Let's talk. All right, we won't go too far into these, boys, but the world's richest club, Newcastle United, will be visiting West Ham. This should be an interesting game. Newcastle are in some good form. What's going to happen here, Robbie?
As I said Tuesday night, boys, big win for Newcastle, but Trippier out 6 weeks with a fractured ankle, whatever it was, I think is a massive loss. Captain of the team as well, and West Ham at home, again, in that top four scruffle. I think they're really going to get the 3 points here, so I'm going to go for a 2-1 to West Ham.
Nick?
I'm going to go with my heart, not my head, because West Ham's results lately have been fantastic for us. So I'm going to continue on that trend. I think Newcastle, especially with the corner they've turned, I think they can take a point. So I'm going to go with 1-1.
Interesting. That seems to be a popular one. I'm going 1-1 as well. You stole my one. RJ, what are you thinking here?
No, I'm going to go for the Hammers 2-1 here. Like Rob said, Trippier being out, it's a big loss for them culturally as well as performance-wise, I think.
Okay, you're saying it's Hammer time. Justin, we are all in Oran Park. Live show from Gregory Hills. Not a bad idea. Maybe just a feed. Who knows? We'll have to see. We'll think about that one. Next one. Arsenal hosting Brentford. We'll be looking for a little bit of revenge here because they did the number on us in the opening match of the season. COVID impacted, of course.
We're waiting for that.
They stung you, mate. Just admit it.
Yeah, well, they did sting us, but we are in a very different place, and so are they at this point. I'm seeing us taking all three. Not anything less is a failure, in the words of my man Thierry Henry. So I'm going with 2-1 to Arsenal. Goals have been hard to come by. Nick, what do you think?
Scott, we ain't conceding at home. Come on. Ramsdale's not going to let a ball back.
Mate, I hope not.
3-0. 3-0. We owe them one. I can't see them scoring. I can't see them keeping us out. No problem.
Well, Davide agrees with you. Davide agrees. Cal's saying that we need some revenge and our fortress is hard to break down.
Yeah, 3-0.
Tom reckons he can't hear us. It must be storming pretty bad where he is. Mate, get the old boombox out, Tom. Robbie, how much will Arsenal win by?
2-0. I think it'll be a reverse score. You guys have to win this game for top 4 Champions League battle. And just like I said, for a bit of revenge from that round 1. So, 2-0 to the Gunners this week.
Interesting, RJ.
You know what? You're desperate, but they're desperate too. They're getting dangerously close to that perilous drop zone. So I don't know how straightforward this is going to be. I know that TV goalkeeper of yours likes to make saves look harder than what they are. So
here we go.
I like him, but just catch the ball. Don't have to dive every time. It's okay. It's just stirring him up. Look, you'll get the job done. Much as it pains me to say that, you'll walk away. I don't know. I still see a goal being conceded, though, especially because they're going to get desperate and might pull one back. So I'll lock in a 2-1 for the Gunners.
Great minds think alike. Pepe, don't think so. Not in this game. Arteta doesn't rate him, so I don't think we'll see him. What I do think we'll see is an entertaining match with Villa hosting Watford. We will start with you, RJ, again. We'll go back to you. What's going to happen here?
I expect Villa to bounce back. It's had a pretty indifferent week now. So at home, expect Coutinho and co to fire. So lock me in for a 3-1 win to the Villains.
3-1 to Villa. Nick, what about you?
Yeah, 3-2 Villa. I feel like Watford got their strikers back. They got some firepower, but defensive frailties. Villa, a strong team. Villa very good at home. And after, I watched the Villa Leeds game the other week, 3-0. Leeds, obviously, like I know they got a lot of injury issues, but the way they play and press, they can score goals easily. I think Watford obviously have some firepower back, but just defensive frailties for me. I think Villa get the job done 3-2.
Robbie?
Yeah, 3-1 on go Villa on this one. I think they've got, like I said, the creativity. Coutinho is on fire at the moment. Yeah, Watford, especially away from home, I think they're going to go down. So, yeah, 3-1 Villa.
I'm going with 2-1 to Villa. I don't think it'll be quite as comprehensive as some of us are thinking. But the next match we're going to talk about is Brighton and Burnley. Brighton were brilliant, and they've been good all season. A couple of dips, but I think they'll beat Burnley here. I think they'll beat them 1-0, keep a clean sheet, and bag a very important 3 points. What do you think, RJ?
Yeah, I think so. They've had their difficulties in finding the back of the net despite playing well. Sounds familiar, but let's lock them in for a 2-0 here. I think they'll bag a couple.
What about you, Robbie?
Yeah, look, much respect. Obviously, seeing them again, and they are the kings of XG. So if they put a few goals away, I think they'll be right with this one. I'll go for a 3-1 to Brighton.
And Nick?
I think at home, Brighton should be too strong. The way they play football, they're a very good team, and the way they press. I think I'm going to go 2-1.
Excellent. The next match we are going to talk about, and we're going to start with you, RJ, because it's your team playing in it. A London derby, Palace hosting Chelsea. What's going to happen here?
Hopefully, like every time when we play Palace, we're going to smash them, hopefully, and hopefully Pulisic masterclass, because Mason Mount, one of my favourite players, he's out for a couple of weeks. So these are the moments where some of our fringe players need to really start stepping up. Hakim Ziyech has also been good lately, been able to add a little bit of X factor. Kai Havertz obviously scored the goal the other day. I'm not convinced about Lukaku at the moment, although he's back-to-back goal scorer. I still think we'll have enough. Vieira's done a good job in improving them since we beat them on opening day.
Yep.
Even at Selhurst Park, it will be difficult, don't get me wrong, but I still think we'll do enough to get by, because we haven't been playing brilliant, but the confidence, hopefully, from the world champions crown will spur us on to get our walk away with this. I'll say 2-0 to the Chelsea.
Robbie?
Yeah, 1-0 Chelsea in this one. I'll keep it short.
Nick?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it short too, Robbie, because RJ summed it up pretty well. I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea. I think they, as much as I hate to say it, I think it could be one of those games where Palace could jag a point, but I hate to do that prediction because I know if Chelsea win 2-1, I'm going to be kicking myself because I know that's what's going to happen. So Chelsea are going to win 2-1, I think.
Chelsea 3-1 for me against Palace.
Guys, we got the world's best goalkeeper. Who's conceding here? And if he's not ready, we got Kepa. He's not Ramsdale. Come on.
Did you say world's best goalkeeper that you didn't put in our team of the season, yeah? Because you want to
now he is. But he didn't win the medals at the time, Scott.
Please.
I changed my decision.
Please. Let's look at the next one. One that I don't think will change any decisions on is Liverpool hosting Norwich. I don't see anything other than 3 points to Jurgen Klopp's men. I'm going to go with 5-0. I think it'll be comprehensive. What about you, Nick?
Wow.
5-0. I was going to say that. So, Scotty, I'll join you on that one. 5-0, mate. Simple.
Rob?
No, I don't think this one's going to be as easy. Like RJ was saying before, Norwich, if they do want to try and have a miracle, they're going to have to put something. Still think Liverpool will get the points, but 2-0 to Liverpool, especially having mid-season week. They had to travel, a couple of days less training, and they didn't look amazing today, so I'll go 2-0 Liverpool.
I don't even know if they need to train to play this match, but RJ, what are your thoughts?
Originally I thought 7-0. I don't know why. It's just an outrageous score because we beat them.
Please do it.
But no, it won't happen. It won't happen. They'll only win 6-0, so put 6-0.
You're a cracker.
And that's not taking anything away from Norwich because they've been good lately. But
yeah, exactly.
The level was just that big, the gap.
100%.
This will be an interesting match. Man City hosting Spurs. We know that Conte can get a result. We know he's more than capable, and they don't like playing Spurs, Man City. What do you think's going to happen here, Rob?
I don't know, mate. I've been picking Spurs every week nearly since Conte got in. And three losses on the bounce. This could be four. I can't see anyone beating City right now. They're in such hot form. Unless like Tottenham just sit back and try and frustrate them, and I can't even see them trying to hit them on a break. I'll go for 2-0 to City. I still think they'll get it done.
RJ? And we'll go back to Southampton, Everton after this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of suffer ball from Conte. That's what he's going to deploy. I can see I'm split between a 0-0, a frustrating one, and a 1-0 to City. But I think my head points me into the 1-0. I think with all of the chances they're going to create, just by the law of averages, one of them at least will go in. So I'll lock in a 1-0 to City.
Yeah. I'm going to be controversial. I'm going 1-1. Harry Kane keeps letting the Spurs down. Not me. I hope he never scores. But I can see him banging in a goal here as edgy penalty or something. And I can see them frustrating Man City, who have also travelled this week. So I'm going
City got on round Spurs, because this round is pretty much like the exact roles reverse of round one fixtures, because Spurs beat them 1-0 round one.
Yeah. And that was with Nuno at the helm. So we'll see what happens here.
I think if City drop points here, and Liverpool's going to probably more than likely smash Norwich, I think City would start to panic a little bit because that gap is closing. So they can't afford to drop points here.
Look at this comment. They're saying, from Crazy Diamond, PL needs a Spurs win. I mean, we don't want to see Spurs win ever on this show, but if they win, it does make things a little bit more exciting at the top of the table. All the
6 points. It's a 6 points gap if they win and the City lose.
6 points can happen very quick in this league. Like we know what kind of league it is. So interesting. Nick, what are your thoughts?
Look, similar thoughts to the Brentford Arsenal game, where obviously City had a hiccup round one against Spurs and lost, and I think they'll want revenge here. And to be honest, I can't see Tottenham. I watched the game against Wolves. They were terrible, and Wolves are very well organised, great team, and they did well against us as well. So for me, Man City can do whatever they want. I mean, I think it's gonna be 4-0. I feel like I understand Tottenham have two world-class players in Kane and Son, but I mean, try getting past the boys at the back for Man City, and then how are they gonna stop them? I can't see it. So, yeah, for me, look, I think Man City are just gonna come out all guns blazing, and they're just gonna destroy them 4-0. That's just me. So, that's my prediction.
Easy. Saints hosting Everton. A lot of talk about Frankie Lampard on this show for obvious reasons, but let's start with you, RJ. Frankie,
what a game! Oh, I tell you what, if he does, this will be huge for him just because of where they're at the moment. But also, let's take our metaphorical hats off to just how good the Saints have been too. I think I've been really impressed with what Hasselhüttl's doing with them at the moment. And this, for me, from a neutral standpoint, is a very exciting game. I hope it's pretty open-ended. Both play high-octane, very energetic style of play. I actually think it's going to be a draw. I think it's going to be a very exciting draw. And I think it'll end up 2-2, to be honest.
Wow, you're calling goals. Do you agree with him, Robbie?
I agree with him. I'm sitting on the fence. I can't call this one. I'm going to go 1-1. But if there was to be a winner, I think Saints will get this, but I will stay with the 1-1.
Nick, buy me some time. I haven't got mine yet.
I'll help you, because the Saints have been our friend the last two games, the way they beat Spurs and the way they drew the United. So I watched the game against Tottenham, and I watched most of it against United actually, because it was at a good time. They were bloody impressive, man. The way they press, the football they play, their coach, obviously he's just all guns blazing, and he's just one style, and that's just to attack and press, high octane. And I was bloody impressed, and Shea Adams was looking really good. That Broja is really impressive as well. So
very good.
For me, I think Southampton might have a little bit too much. I still think Everton papering over cracks. Lampard will keep them up. I think he'll have another summer. He'll get some players in, but for me, Southampton at the moment, when I watch Southampton and compare them to what Everton have been doing, I just can't see Southampton losing at home. So, I mean, I think Everton can get a point, but if I had to do a prediction, I'm going to go with Southampton 2-1.
I'm going for board draw in this. I think they'll cancel each other out. I'm going to go 0-0. Neither team has a goal scorer who I really think will bang one in. So this could be a board draw, but I am coming last, so who knows. Leeds hosting Manchester United. This one certainly won't be a board draw. Robbie, it is your team, so you can start, mate.
Famous last words. I'm actually quite confident in this one. Honestly, I think we're going to go there, and I think we're going to smack them 3-0.
Wow, love that. What about you, Arj?
Well, David just unsubscribed. Well, I thought he wouldn't come back after they got smacked up by Everton, to be honest. But
don't unsubscribe. We're only 3 away from 500.
Well, we're probably just exactly. But you know what? I think I don't know if it'll be as straightforward, Robbie. I can understand why you'd be confident, but that's a bold scoreline, pun intended. But I don't know. I'm confused about this one. You're United. They have been unconvincing to me. They were unconvincing with their win. They've been unconvincing in their losses. That's what they've been consistently doing, being very unconvincing. But Leeds as well have been very shaky, so I can't give them any trust. I'm actually thinking this is going to be a draw. As hard as it is to say it, 1-1 draw for me.
Well, no, I just think they're going to play into our hands. How open they're at the back. I think we'll use our pace like we did in round one. You know, they got a goal, but then it ended up being 4-1. And they're the type of team that are very stubborn. They don't sit back. They'll always have a go. If we get an early goal or two, I think we take this. We go away with it.
I really don't know if this one. Tom brings up a good point about the game at Atletico Madrid and potentially Ronaldo being rested. And I know you say you want to use your pace, but when I watched the team play on the other day, it wasn't overly pacey. Well, it didn't seem too pacey. Your midfield,
Rashford, Ronaldo, Elanga.
Yeah, Ronaldo may not play, and he's not. His number one attribute's not his pace anymore. But you don't have, I wouldn't say crazy pace compared to Leeds. I think they've got just as much pace, if not more. But it'll be an interesting match. I'm going to go for draw in this. I think we might see a 2-2 draw. What about you, Nick?
Scott, as much as I'd love Leeds point or Leeds 3 points, I can't see it happening. I think they got too many outs at the moment. They're missing too much quality. They got a lot of injuries. Stuart Dallas out again for a long time as well now. So, I mean,
is Rafinha available?
I think he is. Because he played last week. But they just never seem to have a full strength team. It's crazy. For me, look, I think just the style they play, the way Leeds play, I think it's going to suit United. Like Robbie said, I agree with him. As much as I'd love to see Leeds win this game, I think Man United will win it 3-1.
I think the player I'm most scared of is actually our ex-player, Dean James, with his pace. And, you know, it's always, we all know the ex-player loves to score against their old club. So, you know, he's definitely a threat, and he's been a threat lately. He's been playing.
Except for Welbeck, Robbie. That header he missed the other day, that's match fixing, mate. There's something wrong there. That's dodgy, mate. I was thinking of him between us. That's
his bread and butter.
He's got a good record against us since he left as well. So, yeah, it was a big deal.
He scored that same header against us, Rob. That's what I was burning about. But what do you do?
May you move on. Look, we do have one more that we'll do quickly because I do want to have some Arsenal chat with Nick as well. Wolves hosting Leicester. Wolves in really good form. Rumours that this potentially, if this doesn't go the right way, might see Rodgers gone. I've seen a little bit of social media chatter about that. I don't buy into it. I don't think they get rid of him at this point in the season, but stranger things have happened in football. I'm going with a Wolves win, but only 1-0. What are you thinking, Nick?
1-0 Wolves. The way they defend, they don't score goals. Yeah, 1-0. I think you know what? They play good football, but they're so toothless at times that I've noticed. Well, obviously everyone's noticed it because their results speak for themselves. But apart from the 2-0 win against Tottenham, every game's either a 0-0 or a 1-0 or a 1-0 loss. So it's always tight. And I think they have the quality at the back to. And Jose Sar's a great goalkeeper, by the way. I think they have enough to keep Leicester out. So I think 1-0 Wolves at home.
RJ?
Yeah, this has got 1-0 written all over for me. They've got the second best defence in the league, and it's better than us, better than Liverpool. That says it all, really. So, yeah, 1-0 Wolves.
I'm not sure if Neto's back. I'm not sure. I don't know if any of you know.
I think, he's not far away because I'll just search it up because he's a big part of the fantasy game because he's a great player. So
absolutely, Robbie, your
Yeah, look,
prediction?
I think Nick wrapped that up perfect. Again, I'm going 1-0, but yeah, is this at Wolves' home ground?
Yeah, it
At Molineux?
is. It's at Molineux.
Yeah, 1-0 Wolves for me as well.
Look at this for a stat. Wolves have the second best defence and have scored less goals in games played. It's amazing that they are where they are on the table, though, because they're obviously effective. And you don't need lots of goals to secure 3 points. So.
Leicester's got to play as well tomorrow as well, so an extra game, a bit more minutes in the legs for them.
Yeah.
They've got a Conference League game, so I think at Molineux 1-0 to the Wolves.
All right, let's move on from those fixtures because we'll be back on Tuesday night where we can look back at all the action. But I want to talk a little bit, and we won't go too far into Arsenal, but quite topical today. I found myself in a few little social media scraps with people who disagreed with me on this. I had someone say it's fans like you who are the reason for this, and I said fans like what? Like, well, I don't even know what that means, but.
You're so toxic, Scott.
So toxic. I just do it for the clicks, mate. I love my rants. Thierry Henry has come out, right? And just to set a bit of a picture, club legend, a supreme competitor, one of, if not the Premier League's greatest player of all time. One of. He's come out and said, with what's happening this season and what's going on at the moment, referring to our rivals being in the mud, in poor form, if Arsenal don't make the top 4, it should be seen as a failure. Now, it's kind of split the Arsenal fan base right down the middle, shock, because you've got half saying this isn't helpful, we have a young team, you're going to damage the balance of the squad, and why put that pressure on them? And then you've got the other half, and this is, spoiler alert, the camp where I fit in, saying he's entitled to say that because if we don't make top 4 with what's going on, it is a failure. Before I go too far into it, Nick, I want your thoughts. Do you have an issue with Thierry Henry's comments?
I never have an issue with the great man's comments. Nah, look. Listen, at the end of the day, Thierry Henry is obviously one of the greatest players that ever played football, right? I'm not saying that he's the best, but I'm saying he's one of. Everyone knows this. The guy was incredible, right? He's won everything there is to win. All right, we can all agree on that. Now, if this man comes out and says that something's a failure because his standards are so high, because he won everything but the European Cup at our club, why can't Arsenal have these high standards? Where do we want to be? Do we want to be 5th, 6th, fighting for 4th, or do we want to be trying to win major trophies, trying to challenge for a Premier League title, trying to challenge for a European Cup? End of the day, we can't say that it wouldn't be a failure because of course it would be. We've rebuilt to this stage to be able to get to a point where we can make Champions League again, and then this summer is probably going to be even more important than last summer because if we make the top 4, we will be able to build even stronger foundations to be able to push for those major honours. It's that simple. If we don't make the top 4, we fail. How do we bring in a top-class striker that we're missing? That's my question for you.
And you've got to think, Nick, and I'll come to you in a sec, Rob, because I know you've got a differing opinion, but Aubameyang's gone now. Rightly, wrongly, let's not get into that. Eddie Nketiah is nowhere near good enough and doesn't want to sign a new contract anyway. And Lacazette's not signing a new contract, and his will expire at the season's end. So we need to go out and attract a striker. We got knocked back by Vlahovic, which was a big knock because we did chase him pretty hard. So Champions League could be key in signing that player. But Robbie, I know you have an issue with pundits and ex-players coming out. Speak to us about what your thoughts are.
Yeah, look, I think you told me what he said, but I thought it was a little bit harsh. Again, we know the accolades he's won. Does that give you an entitlement to make demands when he's not, he's not at the helm of or in the hot seat? It's a lot easier to talk when you're not walking the walk, if you know what I mean. And like I said, I was saying before, I've seen it with Kane, poor Scholes, when they're punditry, like all the pundits out there, they like to say this should be this. Yeah, they've been, under a great gaffer. They've won it all. They had a great team, such and such. But I think a lot of these players forget about right now. And again, United are in a similar situation as Arsenal, and we've fallen quite far from the likes of your Cities and your Liverpools and your Chelseas at the moment. And to say that Arsenal to not get fourth is a failure is, for me, pretty harsh, considering I don't think anyone at the start of the season would have said that they would have made top four. If I'm being honest, I don't remember the last time they were in the top four. It's got to be close to 5 years at least.
It's been a while, man.
It's at least 5 years, yeah. So, for a team that was under Wenger 20 plus years in the top four, they've definitely fallen, and the likes of your Spurs or your Leicesters or your West Hams have definitely come up to them, if not past them. So I just think it was a big comment to say that now. Like, there's definitely an opportunity. I still think Arsenal definitely in the mix to make four, but to say it's a failure that they don't make the four, I think is just a hard statement on them.
Can I add something to that? Sorry, just quickly. Robbie, I can't disagree with you. I mean, obviously I have a differing view at the moment with what you're saying, but I'm not one of those guys that would be like, oh, what are you talking about? Like, because you're right. You make a great point. Like, a lot of United pundits, like you said, have hammered the club and it's fixed nothing, right? So I totally get what you're saying. I also agree. I don't even think we're favourites to make the top four at the moment. I mean, like, we are in the sense because we're the games that we have in hand and the situation, we're sort of very settled at the moment. We look fairly consistent compared to the other teams. But like you said, like I said before about United as well, I think United's individual brilliance could see them through. West Ham is still decent. Wolves are coming along. Spurs have 2 world-class strikers, so that could and a world-class coach. So they're still in the mix, as bad as they've been, they're still in the mix. So this is why I get it. Like, we're not there, but this is why I sort of agree with Henri a bit too, because the opportunity is there. We can smell it, we can sniff it. We've got to grab it. We've just got to take it. And that, I'm just reading a few of the comments here. Gamer DJ said it would need some fortune. I agree. Definitely. I think we're already fortunate to be in this position as it is, because no one, like you said, no one would have thought we'd be where we are at the moment. We thought it'd take at least another, Declared also said that this team needs at least 3 to 4 seasons. I agree. Like, we've built a young team and we are ahead of where we're supposed to be, but I just can't help it but think, yeah, we're there. Let's get it. We need to get it. We need to aim higher, because top clubs aim high. And look at Chelsea. Chelsea wouldn't have expected to win the Champions League last year when they sacked Tuchel. Look what happened. Do you know what I'm trying to say, RJ? Like, do you know what I mean? You never would have thought that you guys would win the European Cup last year, but you're in it. You're in it. You got to be in it to win it. That trophy.
That's right, mate.
It's simple.
Yeah. It's a combo of luck, Nick. You said it. You're all right. I think there's too much. It's just the day and age we live in. He said it. He said what he said. It shouldn't be overly scrutinized. It's not controversial. He's an ex-legend. He's just speaking from his heart as much as anything. Sure, he just wants his team to get back to where they think they belong. Robbie makes a good point too in terms of the competition around them, the context. They haven't been there for 5 odd years. It's easy to sit in the comfort zone and throw stones when you're not in the rough, having to navigate all the nuances. But at the same time, with everybody seeming to toss the top 4 football around like a hotcake, now is the time to strike. I can understand why, like, if they were so far behind, I'm sure he'd calibrate his comments and say, let's just finish as high up as we can and see where we go. Right. But at the same time, again, I read his quotes and followed him again, and I just thought, yeah, he said what he said. I don't think it's an unreasonable comment to make. But at the same time, I don't think it's a comment that needs to divide the fan base. Could he have kept his comments to himself and said what he said behind the scenes? Would that have been more helpful? Maybe. But if that one comment alone is going to rattle the players to not fulfill their potential, then they really need to look at themselves in the mirror,
100%.
because guess what?
Exactly
the
right.
world isn't sunshine and rainbows. People are going to have an opinion. And if anybody's entitled to an opinion, it's the guy that's been there, won that. So just accept it and use it as motivation, if anything, to try to fulfill what you can. Because if you don't, he's going to look right, and you guys are just going to look like the pretenders you have been for 5 years. And I don't mean that disrespectfully.
For me,
Sorry, can I just add one more thing, Scotty?
go for it.
Because Rob made a comment as well about unnecessary pressure that the legends put on the clubs, like Keane and Henry, for example. Now, but what I'll never understand about people saying, "Oh, putting unnecessary pressure." End of the day, you're a Premier League footballer that plays for Arsenal, Man United. You have pressure on you every day. You are being paid that much money that you have to have pressures on your shoulders every day. I don't care what anyone says. You are in an entitled position. You've worked ever so hard to get there. Don't get me wrong. You've got this great opportunity. Now, you have to perform. It's simple. Like no matter what anyone says, it doesn't matter. You go out there, you get 3 points. There's no excuse. That's the way I see it. I mean, look, from when I've been playing at Adelaide City, our club's always had the highest expectations. So we play to win everything, right? And when we've been terrible, 3 years ago, we had a terrible year, nearly got relegated. The pressures I felt then were like next level. So I can't imagine what these guys are feeling. But at the end of the day, they have their £50,000 paycheck to bounce back off. You know, I understand that it's different when you got money or whatever. Like, there are so many different mentalities and whatnot. But that's football. Like, the life of a footballer and the pressures of the environment are what they are. There's nothing you can do about it. So no matter what someone says, you take it with a pinch of salt and you move on. Simple, in my opinion, anyway.
You look at Thierry Henry as a player, right? Let's talk about him as a player. And this comment is coming from a Spurs fan. He'll never be an ex-legend. He'll always be a legend. Opposition fans feared but respected Henry. And the reason he was so respected and is still one of the most talked about footballers is because he never settled. He never settled. He wanted to win. He was a terrible captain, because he didn't have that. It reminds me a little bit of watching Ronaldo on the other morning. When his teammates stuffed up, you could see it on his face. He's such a winner that he couldn't hide his frustration. Like when someone mistouched the ball or didn't put it where he wanted it. His expectations are so high. Henry was like that too. It was never good enough with him. And I don't know who's expecting him to come out and pat these youngsters on the back and pat Mikel Arteta on the head and say, "You're doing great, buddy." That's not who he is. That's not who he's ever been. If he had that kind of personality, he'd never have achieved what he achieved. He has every right to say whatever he wants. We've chosen to go with Project Youth. We spent $250 million signing young players. This was a conscious choice. It's not like we've fallen into it because we've got a transfer ban, right? So we've made this choice. Now, if we don't feel that the youngsters can handle Premier League pressures, then maybe we needed to be spending $250 million on players that are experienced and older and can handle that, because there's going to be pressure. And if we buckle because of Thierry Henry's comments, then I'm sorry, you're not ready to play in the Premier League. His comments might have the opposite effect. Guys like Saka and Smith Rowe, who grew up idolising him, they might fire up. You might see your legend saying that your hero, and you want to lift. You want to lift. So there are different ways to interpret it, but I don't understand people throwing heat at Thierry Henry. I want to ask you, Nick, as well. There's a lot of talk about rebuilds in here. Declared saying here, Arsenal are building a team. You don't need a top-class striker. I seriously disagree with that. We do. But the team needs at least 3 to 4 seasons to hit their peak, and patience is what's needed. Declared's a Chelsea fan and top bloke. If Chelsea were patient, you wouldn't have won a Champions League. If your owner, Roman Abramovich, was a patient man, you wouldn't have had half the trophies you've won over the years. I think Arsenal fans have been patient long enough. Exactly. I do think there's some promise in what we're seeing, but I think now's the time, if we're going to splurge, to go and bring in some experience. RJ, just quickly, because I did reference Chelsea a fair bit, do you agree with what I've just said about patience, or do you think, no, Arsenal need to be patient?
I'll say this: patience is a virtue when you're winning. You know what I mean? Like that's the mentality we've had. We're a strange club. We're one that seems to get better every time we get a new manager bounce, and we end up bouncing off that. And obviously, we invest accordingly. We've built the academy up, and we've produced quality after quality. For some clubs, though, patience sometimes should be what you cling on to, because as long as you're seeing recognizable improvement, and you've got to appreciate that the standards that one club has as today isn't the same expectations that another club. Some have been unsuccessful for a while and perhaps should wait a little bit. Some have been winning consistently. So any moment you deviate away from that, patience is not acceptable. So for Arsenal, all jokes aside, you've won a few FA Cups in the meantime. You haven't been in the top four conversation. If you wait a little bit longer and it bears you long-term success, is that such a bad trade-off? You know what I mean? So I don't know, because you can obviously take the other way and say, no, we've waited long enough now. We want to get back into the relevancy conversation.
Yeah.
But there's no guarantee that's going to work either. And that takes time. We've seen clubs where they've bought big players, they've bought a lot of players, and they struggle to integrate them all. And all of a sudden, Project Youth was dished. You went for Project Expensive, that tanked. And all of a sudden, you've got a big question mark of where do we go to next? So it's a really big strategic decision that's got to be made come season's end if I'm at the Arsenal board, because you've got a lot of angry fans. They've got an entitlement to want to get back to winning ways. But at the same time, you've been accepting of this situation for so long. Is there light at the end of the tunnel if you just hold on? I don't know. I'm not an Arsenal fan, thankfully.
Robbie, I'm going to go to Nick.
Had to chuck in that.
Nick.
Sorry, you gave me the heat before.
I'm going to Nick in a sec, but I know, Robbie, from our conversations that, you probably think United are in the middle of a bit of a rebuild too. So you would understand that term patience. Keeping it Arsenal specific here, do you think that Arsenal fans do need to be a bit more patient, or do you see it the way I do? I see this as a Stephen Bradbury moment. I expected United to be up challenging for a title, and it hasn't happened for you guys, right? I expected Spurs to be firing. It hasn't happened for them. Leicester have fallen off the face of the planet. Is this that Stephen Bradbury moment that Arsenal need to take advantage of, or do you think it's not a big deal? Be patient.
Hard one again for Arsenal specific. Yes, it's definitely a massive opportunity. It's this deep in the season, again, out of all the cups, no European football as we've previously talked about. So, you've had all your eggs are in this top four basket. Patience, no one has it anymore in this modern day of football. If there's not results, managers get sacked. If players aren't winning trophies, they want to go somewhere where people are winning trophies. So the whole patience thing in this day and age, it doesn't really happen, because by the time the patience is up, there's another rebuild, or there's something, or a player's gone for a record fee, and it's back to the drawing board, back to square one again. Look, at the end of the day, is this a big opportunity for Arsenal to get top four? Definitely, but I still think it's going to be down to the wire, literally the last day, because we've seen who's around them, and like I said, it's not just me. It's, as we've seen, West Ham and Wolves are in the mix. Yourself and Spurs, you guys have got games in your hands as well. You got to win them, but it's all up for grabs, man.
Nick, I know you've been sitting, taking in the views of everyone on the panel. What are yours? What do you think about Project Youth and patience?
Look, I think the project has started well. I think the summer was fantastic. We put some great foundations in, like I said, bringing in Ramsdale, Ben White, Tomiyasu, fantastic signings. Bringing in Odegaard was actually really good. I know a lot of people were skeptical about that because he didn't set the world on fire on his loan, but he's 23 years old. He's captain of Norway. The guy was signed by Real Madrid at 16. These are the mentality. This is a player that has a strong mentality because he's been up against it since he was 16. These are the kind of guys that you want to attract, because I think one thing I'll give Arteta credit for is that he was with Pep for 3 years. I think that's a long time enough to understand what Pep does and and what he did to build a winning culture. So I feel like Arteta can get there. Let's see if his ability as a manager can take him to another level. That time will tell. That's where we're going to be patient. I don't think patience in the squad in the sense of strengthening is required for us anymore. I think we're past that. 5 years has been way too long for a club like ours. We want to be a top club. We want to be back. You know, at the end of the day, Chelsea domestically in terms of honours are still behind us, but their European pedigree is ridiculous compared to us now. So it's like, how the hell did we let that happen? Do you know what I mean? So to get back to that, we need to take action now. We need to crack the iron while it's hot. We're right there. You know what I mean? Like, United will always be there. The club is just too big. They have too much power, too much money. That's the difference. We're a big club, but we don't have the Cronkies aren't putting in the money. The club doesn't resource itself to be able to get ourselves out of this situation. United can get themselves out of a situation like this. They just haven't made the right decisions in terms of the coaching and that sort of stuff. So we're trying to do it in the right way, as Crazy Diamond's saying. But at the end of the day, we can do the right ways for the foundations. Now we need to bring in some big dogs, because to take the next step, you need to have big dogs to score the goals, to do something on the big game. At the end of the day, Chelsea didn't need to spend 100 million on Lukaku. He was fine at Inter. But you know what they did? They did it because they wanted to flex their muscles, man. That's the difference. You know what I mean? That's flexing muscle. That, to me, that Lukaku hasn't technically improved their team, but they had the power to bring him in and say, hey, come on.
But they thought he would. That was a notable deficiency for us. You know.
Do you know what I mean, RJ?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Arsenal look, for Project Youth and all it's worth, Arsenal have splashed the cash recently. They have spent well. And you know what? Nobody should frown upon that.
No way.
Serious clubs spend money where they need to spend it.
Correct.
If you're just flexing it for no reason, don't get me wrong, I'm spewing how the whole Lukaku situation has unfolded, but it's still early days in my limited mind to think that it's a waste of an investment. But I know what you mean. Like, we have Armando Broja. Technically, he might have been someone that we could have tried, but we're too big of a club to take a risk on something like that. We needed to make a statement signing in that department, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, 100%. And sorry, just one more thing. I think with like a player like Broja, he could fit our project really well right now, for example. So, and also with Vlahovic, I don't think we were ever going to get Vlahovic as much as I really wanted him, because I've been following him for 2 seasons when he was at Fiorentina, and what I watched of him, the hunger and desire that guy has to score goals, I've never seen anything like it. The kid just, mate, if I played with him, I would love to play with a guy like that, to be honest. He passes the ball wide and he gets through that box so fast, and his desire to press. I just don't think he ever wanted to leave Italy, to be honest. I think he always wanted Juve. Everyone was saying Arsenal this, Arsenal that. Look, I would have loved him. I would die for him to come to Arsenal, but I don't think it was ever going to happen, because I don't think he was ever going to leave Italy, and I think Juve was always for him.
I think you
Crazy Diamond,
Chelsea
I don't think we're going to be able to afford him, are you?
Oh, jeez. Look, Declared saying we can take Lukaku, they'll keep Broja. I want to put this last question to you guys. Treat it like a quick fire. Don't go too far into it, and then we will do some quick fire questions in a sec. How much do teams need to spend per year to contend at the top? Cal reckons £250 million a year to spend. RJ, you're good with numbers. What do you reckon?
It's not as binary as that, unfortunately. We all have different starting positions. Correct. Age is a factor, form, injury. Yeah. I know what Cal's saying. I totally get it. You need to spend to keep the wheels ticking over, just for complacency, because even if you win one year, you want to keep everybody hungry. I just think if you've got the foundations well set up and you've got a pretty reasonably youngish profile blended in with a couple of experienced players, that helps to keep things in check. I don't think you really need to spend all that much. And all that much, in my mind, I'd say in this market, between 50 and 75 million, just to keep, once you factor in come-ins and goings. But again, it just depends on each club situation.
Sorry, can I just butt in for 1 second?
Go, Nick, go for a minute.
I forgot to mention, I talk about flexing muscles. How about Man City flexing muscle with Jack Grealish?
That's
didn't need
a
to spend
flex. That
was a flex. They did not. Sorry, that part of my ignorance for not mentioning that. But come on, that was so unnecessary. 100 million. I mean, 75 would have got it done. Come on, but that was a player they didn't really need. To be honest, like he's a gun. Don't get me wrong, but what again? Like I'll while I'm at it, I'll just say what I think. I think max 75 to 100 as well because it just depends on what you have. If you're Arsenal, yeah, you have to spend 100, 150 because you need to rebuild. If you're Man United, you probably need to spend maybe, honestly, again, Robbie, like I said, you're only missing a few pieces, man. You're probably missing another centre-back and a midfielder.
And just a new boardroom, Robbie. That's it.
Yeah, and a coach.
Yes.
Robbie?
Look, again, I don't think there's a specific number you can put on it. Like RJ says, we've spent money over the years, even if it's just from making our own money, not from the Glazers. But yeah, we can go in this window and spend 200 million. That doesn't mean we're going to be any closer to City. For me, it's got to be like a perfect example. I hate them, but Liverpool or a City, they go in, they've got people upstairs with can go out and find a player for 30, 40 million that'll suit their style of play or add to the actual team, not just bring someone in for their social media profile or, just to sell shirts kind of thing. And like I said, if we add up the money compared to other clubs, we're going downhill, they're going uphill, and they've probably spent a lot less, especially with United tax on top of it all.
Yeah. Well said, boys. It's been a really good chat. We are going to do some quick fires in a minute, but before we do that, Nick, I know that the season kicks off for you guys at Adelaide City tomorrow night against Campbelltown, isn't it?
Correct, yep.
How's the preseason been? Everyone feeling confident for a good season? Or?
To be honest, man, it's been, for me personally, it's been a really interrupted preseason. I started off really strongly and was prepared really well, and then I just had a tight hammy. Just had back and tight hammy issues, so I haven't really played a game, to be honest. So I probably would be on the bench tomorrow night, pending selection. So we'll see how we go. But personally, yeah, that's my first in 12 years, my first preseason where I've never played a game and had interrupted preseason. So it's different for me, but it's a long season, mate. So I'm not really worried. So because we played Melbourne Victory in December in the cup game, we had 4 or 5 weeks off. So it's been a very, very strange off season for us. Because obviously everyone else finished 2 months before that. So I think we're going to be a little bit behind the 8 ball to start. I think it's going to be a difficult challenge tomorrow because Campbelltown, obviously before us last year winning the championship, won three in a row, and they have a very, very strong team, a lot of ex-A-League players and a new coach that used to coach us at Adelaide City. So he'll be wanting to really get one on us. So it's going to be a tough game, but it's going to be a long season. I'm not really worried, to be honest, because last year, heaps of hiccups, and then all that counted was the playoffs. So really looking forward to it, mate. Really want to go back-to-back. The taste of success, I missed it. It'd been too long for me, but it's a drug. It's like an addiction. You can understand why these big clubs and all these players want to win so much, because the feeling that you get is just unbelievable.
I want to sit in a dressing room with you, Nick. I think they should bring you over to the Emirates, mate, and reinvigorate what it's like to win.
We need a number 10.
I'll tell him, don't worry.
Look, we wish you all the best for the season, Nick. We're glad you could come on and join us tonight, mate, and hopefully we can get you on again during the season just to update us, let us know how it's going, and maybe celebrate Arsenal making the top 4. But we do some quick fire questions at the end. Yep. These not necessarily football related, no explanation, just give your answer, and then we're going to wrap it up. Robbie, have you got yours ready? You're always organised.
I do, boys. Kebab order. What's on your kebab?
Easy, I'll go first. This is my forte. Mixed kebab with cheese, lettuce, onion, and tabbouleh, and barbecue sauce.
Well, I'm surprised you said lettuce, if I'm being honest.
Healthy, mate. RJ?
Yeah, well, Nick and I, we're very fit guys. We don't eat kebabs, but hypothetically, if we were, we would say, or I would say, I'm sure Nick's got a lot more variety with his palate. Mine is just simply the beef, chicken, both together, lettuce, cheese, barbecue sauce. Keep it simple.
Man, that's not great.
Boys, I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I haven't had a kebab since I was living in the UK 6 years ago. In Adelaide, in Adelaide we have Euros, man. We're more we have Greek.
Come on, Red.
Yeah, Ella. So I always have a combination Euros, man. You can never. I love it. I can't pick chicken or lamb, so I always have combo.
Euros is a man.
Euros are the best, especially with it's got the chips in it. The tzatziki, beautiful.
Sorry, boys. The kebabs in Adelaide. We don't have many kebab shots. We're all Greeks. There are a lot of Greeks here.
You can't beat the Euros. But look, mine is lamb. Has to be lamb. I love my lamb. Lettuce, tomato, onion, garlic, and barbecue sauce for me. And last question: most famous footballer you've met, if you've met one.
Can I go first?
Yep.
Yes.
Nicholas Bucco.
Yeah,
definitely. The man, the myth, the legend.
Oh yeah, RJ, you're too good to me, man. You're not bad for a Chelsea supporter, I tell you.
That's it.
For me, it would probably be Lacazette or Aaron Ramsey. Met him, had the pleasure when they were down here on tour, and Lacazette just signed. So probably one of them.
Nicholas or Nick?
Oh, sorry, Rob. Yeah, look, I was just thinking about it because
Archie Thompson.
This is funny, a funny story. So in 2014, I was in the UK, and a mate of mine, Matt Mays, who works for the Federation, he was in London with me, and he was a part of Arsenal Australia. So I'll make it quick. So he got us a tour of London Colney.
Nice.
So me, my dad, my brother, and Matt, we went on the bus and we went to London Colney, and we were watching training and this and that. But the first team were actually away because it was an away game. So the kids were playing a game, and then the boys that didn't travel were training. So we were just watching, and then all of a sudden, like, one of the boys walked past, and we waved him down, and he comes across, Callum Chambers. So we had a good chat with Chambo, but I mean, not that he's a big dog, but to me, I mean, yeah, it's not bad. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. I can't remember. I'm trying to think of any Italian footballers that I might have met.
Chambers is a good shout, man.
Chambers is not a bad one. You know what I mean? Like, actually meeting him at the training ground or something. So that's the only thing I can come up with. If I come up with something better, Rob, I'll let you know in the next edition that I'm on for
100%.
Robbie?
Me, I was lucky enough. I got to have dinner with Juventus when they came out for the All-Stars game 2015, and look, there was a whole heap of players there. Del Piero was there, Marchisio was there, Chiellini.
Was Pirlo there?
Yes, that was the one I was going to pick. Probably
wow.
the most high-profile one. I got to have a selfie, and I got to meet Pirlo. Mate, just, I'm a short ass, and he was like my height. So, mate, that was just great. And at the same time, 2 nights later, I went to the training session at Cogra Oval. Vidal, Pogba, they were all there. Right in front, Buffon was there. So that was amazing to be 10 feet away from them, man. So yeah, that's mine. I'll put Pirlo, but he's my most high-profile one.
What about you, Arj?
I'll let you go first, Scott.
I said mine, mate. Aaron Ramsey and Lacazette.
Yeah, well, I haven't really met too many famous footballers, Scott. I wake up, look in the mirror, and I think, you know what, he does all right. He's good enough, this footballer. But I haven't met anyone.
Keep it as Nick.
I'll keep it as Nick. I said Nick. He was my
said
famous.
Nick. We'll keep it as Nick, mate. I'll take that.
That's right. And I won. My one.
We've had Scotty McDonald on here, Mark Bosnich. We've chatted to a couple.
Yeah, Bosnich. Yeah, I was with him on Saturday night.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but they're no Nicholas. That's all.
RJ, your quick fire, mate.
This was actually going to be an Arsenal specific one, so it's on the spot. Favorite Arsenal goal you've seen? Robbie,
live or
you've been live on TV, whatever. So whoever wants to go first.
Look, I'll go quickly on this one because the first one that comes to mind, it's got to be that Robert Van Persie flying volley for me.
Oh my God, the Charlton one. Yeah.
Oh my God, seriously, I could watch that a million times.
For me, Thierry Henry against United, the one where he kind of flicks it. He's got his back to Barthez, flicks it up, spins and
that smug look afterwards, that celebration he gives.
Yeah.
Nick?
Look, for me, I think now that I've had a time to think about it a little bit, because you gave me a bit of time, I think the Henry solo against Spurs and the celebration with the knee slide in 2001, that was incredible. But my the favorite Arsenal goal that I saw live was Alexis Sanchez. I was at Leicester away the year that they won the championship. I went away and we beat them 5-2. Alexis scored a hat trick. Mate, the third goal that he scored, his hat trick goal, it was a cracker. and he ran towards the away fans. I was in the away section, and the scenes were just unbelievable. So that was a memory that'll stick long. Alexis was so good for us.
He was.
Boys,
He was so bad for us.
I'll save my quick fire for next week because I haven't actually got one. I was a bit unorganised, but it's been an absolute pleasure. Nick, thank you for joining us. All the best for the season. We'll definitely touch base throughout. It's been a great show. We're back on Tuesday night at 8:30. We are 3 subscribers away from 500. We're on 497 last time I checked. Nick's promised me that when he gets to training, he's going to get all the boys to sign up and get us to 500. So thanks, Nick. You're a top bloke, mate. We appreciate you. Robbie, go on, Nick.
Sorry, boys. I just want to say thank you very much for having me on. I've enjoyed every minute. It's been great fun, and it's good to share so much football knowledge between 3 boys. You guys were fantastic, and you know what's great as well, to have a chat with people that, okay, you don't like my club, but you still talk facts. You know what I mean? Like Robbie downright facts about United, but great outlook. It's good, man. I love to speak to people like yourself, and RJ, you've been fantastic. And Scott, thanks for approaching me to come on, and I can't wait to jump on again soon. We'll say in a few months, and hopefully after Arsenal finish top 4, yeah.
Spot on. RJ, closing thoughts?
He's been good fun, hasn't he? He's not bad for a gunner. Packs a bit of ammo, unlike his current teammates. But all the best for the season, Nick. We'll be following you closely, and I'm sure we'll be in touch, mate. And until next time, keep safe, mate, and all the best.
Robbie, I know you've got to go, so make it quick.
I will do. Look, again, thank you for your time. I've enjoyed it just as much as we all have here. And mate, you're gonna have to get us. I'm gonna have to add a Adelaide City scarf at the back there. We'll be cheering you on and keeping an eye on your results during the season, mate.
Nick,
boys, I appreciate that. I'll get that sorted for you, blokes.
Let's get some scarves. I want a scarf up, ready to go.
Done. Leave it with me.
All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you for joining in. We will see you on Tuesday night. Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Ciao.